never thought a night job could mess with my head like this. When I took the position at this motel, I didn't expect much. It was supposed to be quiet, dead even, literally and figuratively. It sits halfway between two nowhere towns, right off a highway that no one uses unless they've taken a wrong turn or they're trying to disappear. That's what made it appealing. No traffic, no noise. Just me, a front desk, and 6 dusty rooms clinging to a sagging parking lot. The place doesn't even deserve a name. It's just Motel on the sign outside. 2 flickering red neon letters short of being unreadable. The O buzzes like a dying fly when the wind picks up. If hell had rest stops, this would be one of them. I started 3 weeks ago. My rent was climbing and my daytime job barely covered bills. When the ad listed overnight clerk with free coffee and flexible hours, I didn't care if it was sketchy. I didn't even meet the owner. I just got a call telling me when to show up and what key opened the office door. That should have been red flag number 1. My first shift was uneventful. No guests, no calls. Just me behind a yellow desk with a drawer full of dead flies and receipts dated back to 1987. Second night, same. Third night, a little weirder. Someone had checked in, but I never saw them. The room key was missing from the board, but the guest book didn't have a name, just a smeared fingerprint and a room number, room 3. I told myself not to care. People want privacy. Let them have it. It was on the 4th night that something changed. I found the envelope. It was sitting on the front desk when I came in. Beige and brittle, like it had been left out in the sun too long. My name was written in red marker. Not typed, not penned. Marker. Bold and jagged. Inside was a single typed page titled, "Rules for the Overnight Shift. Follow carefully." I thought it was a joke until I started reading. 1. Never open the door to room 1, even if a guest insists they're locked out. That room is always empty. 2. If you hear someone whisper your name from inside the walls, do not respond. Do not acknowledge it. 3. The phone will ring at 2:44 a.m. Do not answer. Let it ring until it stops. 4. If a woman in white enters the lobby and asks for shelter, politely decline. Do not speak to her. Do not make eye contact. 5. Always lock the front office doors at 3:07 a.m. No explanation followed. No letterhead. No signature. I stared at it for a long time, even laughed a little. It felt like hazing. Some weird method the owners used to spook new employees. I folded the paper and shoved it in my back pocket, thinking I'd toss it later. But as the shift wore on, the place began to feel off. It's hard to explain. The air got heavier, like it weighed more on my lungs. Lights started buzzing louder. Shadows stretched too far. One of the chairs in the lobby started rocking slightly, even though the AC wasn't on and there was no breeze. I stood behind the desk, trying to will time forward, trying so hard not to check room 1 just to prove the letter wrong. But at exactly 2:44 a.m., the phone rang. I froze. Old beige rotary phone, the type that's anchored to the desk and hasn't been serviced in a decade. I didn't even know it worked. I stared at it as it rang again and again. After the third ring, I reached out, then stopped myself. I pulled the envelope back out of my pocket, unfolded the rules. Do not answer. I laughed under my breath and rolled my eyes. My fingers hovered over the receiver, but something in me tightened. Call it instinct, maybe something more primal. The air felt off, thick again, charged like the air before a lightning strike. I let the phone keep ringing. It rang 7 times, and then stopped. I didn't realize how tightly I'd been gripping the edge of the desk until my fingers went numb. The room settled again. Nothing happened. No one walked in. No thunder roared. And for a second, I felt embarrassed, like I was slipping into someone else's delusion. Then the lights went out. Not all of them. Just the ones in the hallway near room 3. One flickered twice and died. I stared through the little square window that separated the lobby from the corridor. The darkness hanging there like a thick curtain. My body told me not to look too long. At 3 a.m., the woman came in. She didn't knock, didn't open the door. She was just inside. 1 second, the room was empty. The next, she stood directly in front of the counter. Clean photo cutout. Dressed in a long white coat or robe. It was hard to tell. Her skin was porcelain pale, lips too red, eyes dark like ink. Her hair hung wet and straight down her back. She didn't say anything at first. She just stared. I felt like I couldn't move. Then she spoke. "Do you have a room?" Her voice like a whisper, recorded on old tape. "I've been walking a long time." I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Her eyes darted downward to the phone, then to me. I coughed, then shook my head. "No vacancy, sorry." She blinked once, then slowly smiled. I didn't look away, even though every rule in my head screamed at me. After a long moment, she turned and walked toward the hallway, vanishing past the bend where room 1 should be. I ran and locked the front office doors at exactly 3:07 a.m. I didn't move for the next hour. My shift ended at sunrise. When I walked outside, the envelope was gone. But on the front desk, there was a new sheet of paper. Same type, same eerie font, just 3 new additions. 6. Do not throw this list away. 7. The rules will change nightly. Read them carefully. 8. If you don't understand a rule, pray it doesn't apply to you. I held that new list with trembling fingers. More rules. And the last line stuck with me like a splinter in the brain. If you don't understand a rule, pray it doesn't apply to you. That morning, I drove home in silence, gripping the wheel a little tighter than usual. I live in a small apartment above a bakery. Everything smells like burnt sugar and flour. Normally, that puts me at ease. Not after that night. Not with the memory of that woman in white haunting the corners of my eyes every time I closed them. I barely slept. The next night, I debated not going in. I could ignore the phone, fake car trouble, say I'd gotten food poisoning or was stuck miles away. But something about the way the place lingered in my chest kept pulling me back, like a hook between my ribs. So I went. When I arrived, the desk was spotless. Someone had cleaned it. Not just wiped it down, polished. Even the smudges from my fingerprints on the register keys were gone. The bottle of aspirin I'd left behind was missing. The broken drawer was perfectly aligned. Sitting neatly on the counter was another envelope. I stared at it for a full minute before picking it up. Same worn paper, same red marker, same dread rising in my throat. Inside, 3 new rules. 9. If at any point during your shift, your reflection lags behind your movement, leave the room and return only when it's caught up. 10. If the lights in the lobby flicker 3 times in succession, check the guest list to see which room is missing. 11. Do not rest your eyes between 3:17 and 3:29 a.m. That last one sent a chill down my spine. I settled into the chair behind the counter, my eyes roaming along the yellowed keys hanging behind me. Room 1 to room 6. All accounted for. 10 p.m. I cracked open the logbook. No scheduled arrivals. No recent checkouts. Just a stain on page 3 that looked suspiciously like blood, though I told myself it was rust. Or coffee, or both. Midnight rolled in with the heaviness of fog. I'd brought a thermos of black coffee, sipping it just enough to stay sharp, not enough to shake. The list sat next to me, its font too crisp to feel real. Wherever it came from, it wasn't typed in this decade. The worst part was the waiting. You don't sit there thinking about ghosts or cursed rooms. You sit thinking, what's next? Which rule's going to apply to me tonight? At 12:42 a.m., it started. The lobby lights flickered once, then twice, then a third time. Three distinct flashes like warning shots in complete silence. I grabbed the guest registry, my breath catching in my throat. Room 1, vacant. Room 2, vacant. Room 3, reserved. That same weird, fingerprinted entry from earlier. Room 4. Wait. Room 4's key was missing. But I hadn't checked anyone in. I would have known. Plus, it wasn't logged. No paperwork, no ID, no card swipe. Just gone. I stood, slowly pivoted toward the hallway beyond the lobby. The corridor was dim, quiet, still. Then I noticed it. Just at the edge of the hallway floor, where the linoleum ended and the carpet began. A set of wet footprints. Bare, human, leading straight toward room 4. I reached beneath the desk and grabbed the backup flashlight. The bulb flicked on with a wheeze. I stepped into the hallway. Each footprint glistened under the weak light like oil slicks. But the hallway was dry. I knelt down, touched one with bare fingers. Cold, real, but dry. As if they weren't footprints at all, but stains. I followed them. At room 4, the footprints stopped. Right at the door. The knob was fogged over, like someone had been breathing on it heavily from the inside. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. The door creaked open on its own. Inside was nothing. Just a clean, untouched room. Bed made, lamp off, window shut, carpet spotless. I closed the door slowly, heart racing, and as I turned around to head back, the hallway stretched longer than before. It had added a door between room 4 and room 5. There wasn't supposed to be anything there. But now there was a door marked with a brass 0. Room 0. I blinked and rubbed my eyes. Still there. I didn't approach it. Didn't move. Just backed away, never taking my eyes off the thing. And as I got closer to the lobby again, it started to fade. By the time I sat back in the desk chair, the door had vanished from the hallway. I wanted to scream. I wanted to rip the rules in half and storm out. But at that exact moment, the monitor, the old grainy security cam above the desk, started to fuzz, static blur. Then it cleared, and I saw myself. On the tape, I was standing in the hallway, just outside room 4. But I wasn't moving. I was frozen, staring ahead, exactly in the spot where I had been just minutes ago. Then, on the screen, I lifted my hand and knocked once more on the door that wasn't there anymore. I blinked and looked up. The monitor showed only the empty hallway now. That's when I saw it out of the corner of my eye. The mirror by the lobby restrooms. I turned my head toward it slowly, and my heart dropped into my stomach. My reflection was still facing the hallway. I had already turned back toward the desk in real life, but the reflection hadn't moved. It stood, frozen, like a puppet on pause. And then, so slowly I could barely track it, it began to turn. That's when I ran. Out of the back of the office, down the concrete steps into the storage bay, slammed the door behind me. My breath fogged up the shadowed glass. I waited there, panting, every sound amplified. Eventually, I crept back up. The mirror was empty. My reflection had returned, almost like nothing had happened. But the rule, Rule 9, if your reflection lags, leave. Come back only after. It knew me or tracked me somehow. And at that moment, I finally understood. These weren't just rules. They were warnings. And they were specific to me. The next few nights passed with no new rules. But the silence made it worse. Every time I unlocked that office door, I expected a new envelope waiting for me. But no, nothing. Just faint impressions on the front desk, like someone had rested their hands on the counter for too long. The air always smelled faintly like iron, and the shadows in the hallway stretched in different directions, as if they were pointing toward a place I couldn't see. I kept the previous rules folded in my wallet, creased and damp from checking them too often. I also started documenting everything in a little spiral notebook. Every rule, every unexplained noise, every shape in the hallway that wasn't supposed to exist. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't quit. Not yet. Not while it still felt incomplete. And deep down, I needed to know how far this would go. Then, on my 8th shift, there it was. A new envelope. Different this time. Black. Handwritten in silver ink instead of red. Inside, 2 rules. Only 2. 12. If you meet someone who looks exactly like you, run. Don't speak. Don't listen. Don't let them speak either. 13. At 4:09 a.m., someone will enter the office. They won't open the door. They'll already be inside. Let them leave. Do not stop them. Do not ask questions. Do not lock the door behind them. Those last 2 sentences rattled me a bit. Don't lock the door behind them. What the hell did that mean? Who was coming? And how would they leave if all the doors were still locked? I didn't want to find out, but I couldn't stop myself from showing up that night. Everything started off quiet. I ran inventory like normal. Nothing unusual. Room 1's key was on the board, as always. Room 3, still blank in the registry but booked, somehow always occupied, yet never paid for. Room 4's key was there again. The footprints were gone. I checked the mirror right away, waving nervously at myself. No lag. That almost made me laugh in relief. At 2:12 a.m., I dozed off. I didn't mean to. My head just rested on my hands for a minute too long while I was flipping through the logbook, and the next thing I knew, I was dreaming. In the dream, I was still sitting at the desk. Nothing looked different. But there was a tick-tick-tick, like a metronome that echoed through the whole motel. I turned to look at the hallway, and every door was open. All 6. And inside each room was a version of me, facing the walls, not moving. One of the versions slowly turned its head toward me. Its eyes were too far apart. Its mouth stretched across its entire jaw, like a piece of string pulled too tight. I woke up gasping. It was 2:44 a.m. The phone was ringing again. I panicked and reached for it out of reflex. My fingers hovered over the old receiver when I remembered, "Do not answer." It rang 6 times this time, then silence again. But after the silence came voice. Not from the phone, not from outside, from directly beneath the floor. It whispered my name, softly, drawn out, like someone trying the sound of it for the first time. "Elliot!" I stood up so fast my knee hit the desk. My badge dropped to the floor, plastic clapping against tile. The whisper came again. "Elliot!" This time, it came from the wall, right behind my head. I wanted to run, to scream, to punch through drywall just to see what was hiding back there. But I remembered the rule. If you hear someone whisper your name from inside the walls, do not respond. Do not acknowledge it. I clenched my jaw, turned on the radio static. Full blast. Let the hiss fill every corner of that cursed little office. And I waited. Eventually, it stopped. It always stops. At exactly 4:08 a.m., the air shifted. The old clock on the wall ticked its second hand like it had never done before. I stood still, clutching the edge of the desk, trying to count each breath. And then, without drama, the temperature dropped, and I knew it was him, or her, or it. I turned around slowly. The lobby was still empty, and yet I felt someone in the room with me. A weight in the air, like my lungs weren't entirely mine anymore. I tried to look out of the corner of my eye, but nothing was catching. There were no footsteps, no shadows, no words, only presence. Something had arrived. Then I saw it. A man walking toward the front door from the other side of the room. Except he hadn't come in. I'd seen no one. The door hadn't opened. He was just inside. as if he'd always been there, wearing an old green coat, wide-brimmed hat shadowing his features. He didn't look at me, just walked past the desk, slow and heavy. I froze and watched him cross the room. He reached for the door. I remembered the rule. Let them leave. Do not lock the door behind them. I stared at the lock on the frame. My fingers twitched. My instincts screamed to flip the deadbolt, to stop whatever it was from getting outside. But I didn't move. He opened the door soundlessly and stepped into the cold black morning. Gone. I waited. 1 second, 5, 10. Then I reached out, just to push the door shut gently, and right before it clicked, a whisper of breath hit my neck from behind. You shouldn't have watched. But I hadn't followed him. I hadn't said a word, and I hadn't locked the damn door. And still, something was furious. When I turned, nothing was there. Just the hum of the lights, which were starting to dim again, just faintly. My shift crawled the rest of the way to sunrise. Nothing else happened, but the feeling never left, that I was being watched by something still inside, something that hadn't left with him. I told myself I wasn't going to show up for another shift. I lied. The need to know outweighed the need for sleep or safety or logic. I felt like I was trying to finish a sentence that had stopped mid-word. The motel wasn't just a building anymore. It was a trap door, and I'd already stepped through. When I got there that night, something had changed. The motel was still standing, still dim, still flickering neon shooting red glows across the cracked pavement. But the world felt hollow. I didn't hear birds or bugs, no passing cars. The quiet was wrong, like someone had pressed mute on the reality around it. The office was unlocked. Inside, the desk light was on, and a new envelope waited. No name on it, no markings, just pale gray paper. I opened it with fingers that shook more than I wanted to admit. Inside, one final rule. 14. You are the last rule. Do not forget that. No instructions, no timestamps, no threats. Just those 9 words, sharp and precise, like a blade to the neck. I sat there for hours, trying to understand what it meant. And right when I thought the night had passed with nothing more than unanswered questions, my reflection in the window smiled at me. Even though I wasn't smiling back, I stared at it, cold sweat prickling down my spine. My reflection raised its hand, the left one, slow, like a wave. But I didn't move. The lights buzzed louder. My wallet burned against my side where the rules were folded inside it. Then the mirror behind me cracked. One clean fracture running down through the center of the glass, as if trying to split the room in two. I turned slowly, but there was no one there. Just me, or not me, something wearing my face. It winked and vanished. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I just sat very, very still until the sky outside softened from black to blue and the world slowly turned on again. Morning came. The rules were gone. No envelope on the desk, no note in my wallet, just an eerie silence and a motel that somehow no longer felt like it belonged in this reality. I still don't know what that last rule meant. You are the last rule, but maybe it means what I think it means. Maybe the rules ended because I've become one of them. I didn't go into work the next night. For the first time since all this started, I didn't even check my phone. I turned it off, buried it in a drawer, and sat on my couch in the dark for hours, staring at the wall. The rules were gone. My reflection had moved without me, and a motel I thought I understood had whispered something terrifying to me in a language made of broken logic, that I no longer worked the night shift. I was the night shift. Around midnight, I thought I heard the hotel key drop on my floor. Just a soft clink, like metal on tile. There was nothing when I looked, or so I thought. Leaning against my front door, half tucked into the corner of the welcome mat, was a key. Silver. Room number etched into it. 0. Room 0. The one that shouldn't exist. I didn't touch it, but I didn't throw it away either. It sat there all night, and when morning came, it was gone. No footsteps, no note, just a faint red smudge on my doorknob. Like someone with bleeding fingers had steadied themselves before walking away. I thought it might be over, that whatever door had opened closed again, that if I just ignored it all, it would stop noticing I exist. But this morning, I found something on my car windshield. Folded, typed, same font. New rules for the next location. Instructions will follow soon. There wasn't even fear this time, just inevitability. If someone asked me today where I work, I wouldn't say the motel off Route 17. I wouldn't say the empty desk behind the humming lights, or the hallway where shadows stretch too long. Now, I only tell them one thing. I follow the rules, even when I don't know who's writing them, even when the why doesn't matter, even when the place changes, even when I'm the reason one of the rules exists now. I follow them because I've learned what happens if I don't. And the scariest part? Something tells me the motel is just one of many places that obey this system, one of many places where the night shift isn't a job. It's a test, and I don't think I passed. Yet, the rules keep coming, and for some reason, they still have my name on them.